This is Chris, the Idaho Painter here on Paint Life TV. Today I got a video. I'm going to be showing you how to install an auto ladder leveler right here. I've been using these things for about 15 to 17 years now. These are simply a must-have tool for any painter that's going to be painting on any type of uneven surface. I use them working on stairs. They self-level themselves on stairs, on roofs. I use them on ground that has uneven surfaces too. They're installed permanently on the ladder. They're very effective. Once you have them installed, they self-level themselves and lock themselves into place. It takes about an hour to install this thing. This is simply a must-have tool for every painter or homeowner that has an uneven surface and has a extending ladder that they're going to be using. I'm going to be installing it right here, show you how it installs, probably about an hour. So stay tuned for this video. So here's the section of ladder I'm going to be working with. I've got that separated from my ladder, and we'll begin on the step-by-step process now. We'll be starting with step number one. We'll be turning our ladder up on its side. Now I can see the side rail right here. We're going to begin working with this side rail. Doesn't matter what side you start with. You can start with right or left. All right, this step now is a pretty critical step. We're going to be drawing a line on this ladder, and this line, if you don't draw the line correctly, this is where things can go really wrong. And so we're not going to be working with this rung, we're going to be working with this rung up here. So just read your instructions. They got a great diagram explaining where this line is supposed to go. And so just follow those instructions. I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to be using a Sharpie marker. It'll be easy to see once it's on there to do it for any cutting. All right, now this detail, it shows you on my instructions right here. I'm going to be drawing this line right across this inside section of this rung. So I'm going to have a straight edge, and I'm just going to draw that line right there. This line is very important. So I'm going to use this straight edge to get this line drawn, and I'm going to draw it right the inside here. Yeah, got that line drawn. It's going to look just like that. There's my line. All right, now that I got the line drawn on this rung, I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same identical step on the opposite rung. So see, my straight edge lines up right with the inside curved portion of this rung. I'm going to draw this line right here. And there we go. All right, our next step in the process is I've got to locate my templates. I've got multiple templates right here, but only one of the templates are for the ladder that I'm using. I've got a D series 1200 series ladder, and that is going to be template number 2 for me. And so I'm going to be cutting out template number 2, and there's a right and a left of both of these. So I'm going to cut these things out, and then the rest of them can just be discarded. You're not going to need them for anything. So I'm just going to be cutting along the dashed line here. Make sure you know exactly where you're supposed to cut. It explains in the instructions. All right, here's another step. I'm going to be working with my right side rail. So make sure when this ladder is standing up, right side rail is this rail on your right side. So the feet are in the up position, spikes down. I know I'm facing the ladder right here, so I know this is the right side. If it was upside down, the feet would be opposite, so I'm gonna just get that correctly. So here's my right side. We'll be working with the right side first. So I got my right template. This is where the line comes into place that you've drawn when I'm setting up my template right here. There's also, I do need to cut out the center portion of the template, which I forgot to do. There's a little square right inside of here, it says cut along these dashed lines. So I'm going to carefully cut along that, because there's some really important lines on this template that line up with that line you drew, and you have to be able to see through your template and see the rung. So here's, I got my template, right side, got my right side template. I'm going to set it right on here, and the line on the template lines up with the line that you drew. So I'm going to set that right on there, and then we've got to fold our template, or tape our template in place. It does say there's some, you want to fold it right here on the dotted line. So I'm going to fold this template, and it's going to set right inside there, and I'll fold it. Let's see. All right, I got my template folded. Now I'm going to tape this thing. Once my lines are lined up straight, I'm going to tape this thing right in place. So I do have, that's where one of the tools you got to have is tape. So now it's telling me just to put a piece of tape on both ends and inside the square. So I'm just going to get this thing, make sure it's lined up correctly. I'm going to put, just using a piece of sure tape, frog tape orange. We'll put a piece right side here. You don't want to cover up anything that you're going to be, there's some holes marked that we're going to be drilling. It's showing me to put a piece of tape on the end right here. Okay, I want to take and make sure my template is centered also right down. It's got a center line right down the middle of this template. So I'm going to make sure that that thing is centered right down the center of my ladder. Template is centered down the middle of the ladder. There we go. All right, my template is all in place. Now there's 6 holes. That's where your center punch comes into play. If you don't have a spring tool center punch, you're gonna have to use a center punch and a hammer, which is, you know, it's not bad, but this thing is available in our store. So I'm gonna center punch these things right where it shows me to center punch them. Perfect. Next one. All 6 holes. All right, I've got all 6 holes center punched. I'm going to remove the tape, and what I'm going to do now is, with my template still in place, I'm just going to place the tape on the other side. I'm going to draw a line at the bottom of this template right here, across the entire bottom. And this is going to be our cut line. This is where we're going to cut our ladder right here. This is the scary part. If you do it wrong, ladder's no good. So I'm gonna take my square, and I'm gonna make sure my line is all around. We'll try my ladder here. And then I'm gonna do the opposite to the opposite foot, and then we're going to cut our feet off. Not my feet, but the ladder's feet. All right, so I found the mysterious 9/32 bit. I had a larger drill bit set in the garage that had one. So one of the nice things about the center punches, if you center punch it, strike it hard enough, your drill bit's not going to walk around, and it's going to start drilling right where it's supposed to without walking. And so the first time I did this, I didn't center punch it. I just marked it with a pen, and the drill bit walked, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. But so if you don't know what drill bit walking is, you want to just look that up on Google. Hole number 1. Okay, got my holes drilled, 6 holes drilled on this side. Got a bunch of metal chips. Just gonna vacuum them up. Don't want to be standing in them, tracking them everywhere. So I'm just gonna vacuum these things up really quick. Also, when you're drilling, it's good to wear safety glasses. Got some edge safety glasses on. I'm gonna be drilling with. The filing, I'm just gonna be hand filing, so that's not a big deal. But should wear safety glasses when you're doing this stuff. Right, I'm gonna flip my ladder over and we are going to do our opposite side right here. Gonna drill these holes now. All right, now I'm gonna cut my feet off. Well, my feet, but the ladder's feet. So, I've got, instead of sitting here doing it by hand, my battery operated saber saw is not working. So I got a electric one. So I'm gonna cut it, this electric one, right here. All right, I sawed off my legs. The legs are off. Now, going to just file my feet right here. Any burrs off. All right, we're on to the next step, and this is measuring, where we're gonna cut our square rod, and this is extremely important that you get these measurements right. There's diagrams on the instructions that give you instructions of where you wanna measure it. My ladder meets the top diagram, so I'm gonna measure the outside distance of the webbing on here, and it's 7 1/8. You're gonna add 2.5 inches to that number, and that's where you're gonna cut your rod. So 17 1/8 plus 2.5. I'm not so good with math, so that's gonna be 17, 18, 19 1/2 plus 1/8. So we're gonna go 19 1/2 1/8. That would be 5/8. That would be my guess. But you don't want to guess. So check and double check. And I'm going to do the math on this once I mark this to double check. So 19, I'm going to mark this rod at 19 5/8. Very critical that this is done correctly. So I had 17 1/8, and then I'm going to add 2.5 inches to that. So 17, 18, 19, 1/8 to 1/2 is 5/8. So I think I have it all correct. So I'm gonna jump back over here. I can cut it with, my saw, or I can cut it with my saw. So I'll cut it with my saw. Okay, I've cut my rod. Hopefully my measurements were right. I'm kind of curious, if you cut it wrong, do you just call Werner and will they send you another one? Dead on. So I'm gonna take my file. I just wanna file this, get any burrs off, any edges off, because this is going, you'll see where it's going, and so you want this to be filed so it has no burrs on it. You can feel no burrs on it because it's going to go inside. This is one thing I don't have to read instructions for right now. It goes right inside there, one of your feet. All right, so I'm ready to go. On to the next step. I believe we're going to start mounting these feet on here, which is the exciting part. So here we go. We're going to put our rod in one of our feet here, and then I'm going to put this through, I believe it's the bottom rung, right through here. We're going to put it right through there. Get our bolts lined up with our holes. Got my foot pushed in there. Now this is when I start putting some of these screws together, just like it explains to me. So I've got these little brackets. They're going to go in between my screws and my nuts. Not actually screws, but nuts. All right, so we've got to our legs, the screws coming through. Now we're going to be sticking these brackets, I guess is what we can call them. Stick these brackets on each side. We're going to be putting a nut down each one of these bolts. We're going to screw those tight, or not necessarily screw them tight, but we'll use I believe that's probably our 3/8. Is that 3/8 or 7/16? That's a 7/16. There, so 7/16 using All right, now I've got the one foot installed. I have to verify that my shaft length is correct. And so now they've got this handy little template that I can use to test my shaft length. So I'm just going to cut it along these dotted lines so I can use this template to just make sure I'm all good. So now I can see I can put this up here and see if I can do it from the opposite side, but it has to fall within that range right there. I'm looking at it from this side, so allowable range. Now, if you're not in that allowable range, you have to stop here and obtain another rod from Werner. And it says in the instructions that they'll provide you another rod, because that means you didn't measure right and you didn't cut right. I'm in the allowable range, so now I can proceed on to the next step. So without removing the tape, I'm going to attach the other foot now. So here we go. So it's telling me I gotta cut the tape without removing it. I've gotta cut it at the gap right here. So I'm gonna cut it at this gap, which that's kind of weird because now it's gonna move. Now they say to just slice the tape right here at the seam so this thing on the ladder leveler will move freely. So I'm going to slice that tape, and it's electrical tape. This is that step you don't want to do until the end. And now the tape is sliced, everything's mounted. I can test whether my feet work. So we're going to take one up, the other one should go down. It should self-level. If it doesn't not do that, something's gone wrong. And thank goodness I've installed quite a few of these and nothing's ever gone wrong with one of them. I've not done one wrong yet. So that's because I followed the instructions. So now I need to figure out what's the front side of the ladder because I whacked off my feet and I don't have any feet on there now. The rungs, how they set. If I turn the ladder around this way, I can see my rungs are angling away from me, so that's not the front of the ladder. This is the front of the ladder. It leans up against a house like that, so I know my spikes are going to be facing in that direction. So spikes up top, just like this, we'll set it on there. Now I can install this little gadget right here, whatever we want to call it. Stick that right inside there. This one tells you to have, two of these, so you can do both sides. So you can have a crescent wrench. I've got, the socket wrench that I can just use. And we are done. So we'll take it outside. We'll show you what it looks like. And I actually have multiples of these ladders with these levelers on them. I have, the extension ladders that ratchet up. But then I also have on my vehicles just one just like this, without the other part of the extension ladder on because it's just light, easy to carry, and it's very versatile for all kinds of things. Put some ladder hoops on the top of it. And we'll show you how this thing, if you've never seen, we'll show you inside here because inside my shop, we've got areas where we can show you how it actually levels. So I'm walking over here and show you. All right, so I got my legs all installed. I'm gonna show you how effective, quick and easy these legs are, how well they function. So got my legs, they're self-leveled on a step right here. Now I'm gonna move it and you're gonna see how quickly they will self-level themselves. Now you can see how quickly it's done. Ladder's ready to go. I can move it into place. It's self-leveled. So this could be a scenario. It could be rocks. It could be uneven ground. It could be on a roof. You can use it in conjunction with a pivot ladder box. If you had a step that's too high and you still needed to get another foot leveled. So not quite tall enough, I can stick a ladder box under there, or I can level this foot out with something else like a 2x4. Back to level once again. Amazing. These feet are something you should have at least on one of your extension ladders. They do add a little extra weight, so I don't put them on all my extension ladders because it just makes them harder to carry around, but a must-have tool installed on one of your ladders. I like these self-leveling feet versus the other ones where you've got to put pins and adjust them because they never are like exactly level the way you want them to, and it just takes a little more work setting pins and stuff like that. Self-levelers. Must-have tool for any painter or homeowner that's using an extension ladder on uneven ground. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give us a thumbs up. If you think this product's really cool, give it a thumbs up down below. If you got any questions or comments about the installation process, how these are used, or if you've used them yourselves and you want to give a shout out to the product or say what you like or dislike about a product, just put it down in the comment section below. If you want to just give a shout out to what country you're from, what city you're from, we would like to know where our audience is all over the world out there. Give a shout out in the comment section below. The ladder levelers and stuff, I'll give some more information in the video description where you can purchase these devices out there, so you can get more information about them there. Anyways, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, we'll see you on our next video, hopefully. Out.